recovery and sleep until now. I never knew what was holding me back from sleep, rest, recovery. As I say, with mental health and how we come across when we're experiencing mental health problems, whether it be trauma, going through emotional difficulties, environmental, behavioral, whatever it may be, mental health manifests in individuals in so many different ways. And I've been learning all about rest, recovery, and sleep, which before now were not vocabulary in my book. I knew the power of rest and I thought I knew the power of recovery. I thought I understood the power of mindfulness. I thought I understood the power of sleep, but actually, I was passing things off as just extras, just bonuses. Do you know, for those people who had the time, bonuses for those people who didn't have the motivation to be active, or bonuses for those people who had that annoyingly perfect balance in their life. Actually, what I was doing was negating the fact that these were priorities that I were missing and I was skipping. And I wasn't just skipping through life, I was busy working myself time and time again, dangerous spirals of working myself into the ground. Whatever I put my mind to, all or nothing, it was me. Everything was all. And honestly, I've started to sleep for the first time properly in my life. And that's actually by through more rest, not more exertion. It's not impacted my fitness or my health. If anything, it's helped my skin, it's starting to help my mental well-being, and most of all, it's starting to allow me to be mindful in the present moment, even in the painful moments. And that's why I realized that I'd been keeping so busy, because it was my way and it was my inner child of trying to cope with a lot of traumas. And whilst I always say, "Oh, I'm over that, I'm over that," I kept going back into survival mode. And also the fact that I hadn't even realized how recent traumas, I didn't even call them traumas, I just kind of get on with things, had really started to impact me. The grief, the pain, the hurt, everything that I take inside, because that's how I deal with a lot of life situations, is I take them in. And I've been using an amazing sleep consultant, Natalie Collier, for a BBC Radio 5 Live program on sleep. And I was really reluctant at first because I felt a little bit sorry for myself, I'll be honest. It was another lockdown, um, kids at home at my own. I was really grateful, but grateful in the sense of not having a lot. And then actually, this transformational journey has reminded me and actually taught me how important mindfulness is, because it's not just airy fairy, zened out mode. No, it's about becoming more conscious within your own mind and your own body, and feeling more at one and at peace with yourself, which is so important. And actually, I had a separate mindful practice the other day, and again, I went into it on Zoom with a bit of like, this isn't going to work. I haven't got time for this. I haven't got time to meditate. I just want to get moving. I just want to keep going, because then I'll crash and then I won't be able to do my work. And that's what I went into. And that therapist managed to actually actively unlock. We did some focused mindfulness, which is like a practice to get busy people like me to actually start to slow down more. And it was showing me that just by releasing and being that kinder to myself, like, what would that person, do you know, if you were free from that inner trauma, that inner pain, and that inner negative self-talk. And when I say inner negative self-talk, like, it was painful negative self-talk. And actually allowing myself to have that space, I cried so much. And the thought that I could be free, the thought I could be free of this trauma one day in the future, this pain inside and this loathing, self-loathing felt so almost exhilarating and liberating. Even the thought that I could be slightly less held by it within a month, and then it takes 3 weeks to create a habit and so on. And that really grounded me. But back to the sleep, which I think, to be honest, I wouldn't have even allowed myself the time to do such a session if I hadn't been implementing my sleep. It was about taking off the pressure of sleep at night to start with, because I think, like me, if you know the power of sleep, for your skin, your well-being, your mental health, your eating, everything, there's a lot of pressure to sleep on a night and to do all these things on a night. And actually dealing with Natalie and going through having to wake up a certain time every day, 6 a.m., then tech off 9 p.m. Originally, it was 9:30, and then tech off 9 p.m. But also, I've been setting more boundaries as well, less social media time, much more scheduled stuff, doing the bits that I love, and then the bits that trigger me, not doing them. And that's fine. Taking my foot off the pedal has actually saved me time. And now, because I'm taking the foot off the pressure of sleep on a night, we need 5 sleep cycles approximately of 90 minutes. Taking that pressure off so that it's then in the daytime, so you've got those rest and recovery. You might have 10 minutes of mindfulness, or ideally 20 minutes of body scanning on a morning at 11 till 2, then 20 minutes in an afternoon. And I've actually found having those chunks of time, it is not my natural. It is definitely, as Natalie says, retraining my inner child and dancing back to her at times, and then also reparenting her to be kinder to myself. Because then, when I actually have incorporated this, my behavior has been less erratic in the sense of my overworking. I feel much more aligned with my values. It gives me much more time rather than to be a reactive person, to be proactive. I'm quite good at praying and being patient anyway. Um, but it's also allowed me to start to be more assertive, and I've had to be able to follow this program. I've had to set my boundaries with people, and I've just had to think, well, I'm not going to please anyone. I've been an extreme people pleaser all my life, because I think what I have discovered recently, because I'd gone through trauma and I was always so scared of ever hurting anyone, like to the point I'd sacrifice myself, and even on a lower level, day to day, I'd sacrifice myself all the time and always worry if I'd hurt someone, even if they didn't smile at me. And actually having this time out for myself has made me feel so much better. It's improving my life, and also it's actually helping me achieve results. And if you're like me, you like results. You like to know something is tangible too. And it definitely does, because you might have heard of the Pomodoro technique when it comes to work, for example, of like 20 minutes, and then you just do kind of, you move, you do something different, you take a quick break, and then after a segment of time, you take a longer break. And it's about working like that rather than just trying to power through. And actually, a 20-minute nap will actually improve our brain's cognition by 30%. So imagine if we're using that in his working day, how much more productive we will all be is just insane. It's so incredible, because we are stuck sometimes on this rat race. And that's one thing I'm grateful for lockdown, is it gave me time out of that rat race to make mistakes again and go back into that rat race in another way, but then to start to look and actually use this time. And as that TEDx talk says, there's no such thing as striving for perfection. Well, we can strive for perfection. There is no thing such thing as perfection, but we can create transformation. And I definitely feel I'm starting to feel that transformation in my life, in my health. I feel much more relaxed in myself. It does not mean that all my mental health problems are gone, all my traumas disappeared, well, it means that I've actually taken a big step forward because I have never rested. I have never properly slept. And since I can remember anyway, I'm sure I did at some point as a child, um, because that was the only way I could cope. Um, and so it's not about beating myself up, but it is now taking responsibility and thinking, well, I can either do this forever and keep going into breakdown mode, and not just breakdown mode. Like, I started to experience chronic fatigue about 18 months ago. And then to the point where I'm kind of allergic to certain people and stresses and certain vibes. Um, and that's really hard for someone who's highly motivated, wants I have a high energy anyway. Um, but that has been a blessing in disguise because that has been a reminder that my mind and body is connected and I've got to start to rest and really start to heal. And the way I can get through the next journey and the next step on my healing journey is through more rest, recovery, and sleep. And I'm actually finally getting tired on a night because I'm resting more in the day, rather than just living off this insane, like, high adrenaline. I want to achieve my peak like athletes, and this is their flow state. So I'm so, so grateful for the power of mindfulness as a form of science, therapy, and a transformational journey, and for Natalie, my sleeping coach, as well as BBC Radio 5 Live, and all the mindfulness practitioners that have supported me along the way. Somebody very skeptical about ever being still, ever resting, did not even have the confidence or the kindness to myself to do that. So yeah, I'd love to know your experiences. Do chat to me at Mama May blog. I'm across social media. I'd love to know your experiences. I'm also Squats and Sparkles Women's Health Club on Facebook. You can find that bit.ly/squats and sparkles. But most of all, peace, love, shimmies, and lots of sleep.